You know, for decades, one of the strangest and most consistent details in close encounter UFO reports has nothing to do with lights or shapes in the sky. It's about something way more fundamental: the distortion of time itself. So today, we're going to dig into why this strange little detail might just be the most important clue we have.
So yeah, that's the big question, right? For years, researchers have been totally baffled by these reports. But there's this really fascinating idea that suggests the answer isn't out there at all, but somewhere much, much closer to home.
Okay, so first things first, let's be clear about what we're talking about here. This isn't just people getting a weird vibe. We're talking about something called temporal anomalies, and it's a consistent, core feature of these encounters.
I mean, look at this. We're talking thousands of cases from all over the world, stretching back decades, and you see the same things pop up again and again. Witnesses describe time just freezing solid, or feeling like hours flew by in an instant. And then there's the big one, missing time. This is where someone literally can't account for hours of their day after seeing something. And this isn't some rare, one-off thing. It is a pattern. All right, so if these reports are so consistent, what's the explanation? Well, in the world of ufology, two main theories have really dominated the conversation for a long, long time. So on one hand, you have the deliberate interference idea. This is the theory that the beings, whoever they are doing this on purpose. They're bending space-time to hide what they're doing, kind of like a cloaking device. Then you've got the other side of the coin. It's just an accidental side effect. The witness just got too close to the hardware. You know, the ship's engine, or maybe some kind of dimensional portal, is warping the very fabric of space-time around it, and the person just gets caught in the fallout.
Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. What if both of those ideas, as different as they are completely missing the point? What if the answer has nothing to do with technology in the sky, but everything to do with what's happening inside our own minds?
And this is the wild part. This whole modern mystery, it has an incredibly ancient parallel. If you start digging back into history, you find that people have been reporting these exact same kinds of experiences for centuries.
Yeah, check this out. In old European folklore, you hear all these stories about people meeting fairies or elves, the good folk. And guess what's a central theme? Time distortion. Someone stumbles into a fairy ring, dances for what feels like 5 minutes, and then they come back home to find out that years, sometimes decades, have passed. Does that ring a bell?
And I mean, look at this comparison. It's just uncanny. The location changes from a magical hill to a metal ship. The beings change from elves to so-called aliens. But the fundamental structure of the story, especially that massive, mind-bending distortion of time, it stays almost exactly the same. The narrative beats are practically identical.
So when you see a parallel that strong, it really makes you think. Maybe the common thread isn't the visitors, but the person having the experience. And that leads us to this really powerful new idea. What if the key to this whole thing is hidden in the nature of our own consciousness?
So, okay, what are we even talking about when we say an altered state of consciousness? Well, put simply, it's just any time your mind is working in a way that's different from your normal, everyday walking around state. And while that might sound all mystical and weird, the truth is we all pop into these states way more often than we think.
I mean, just think about it. Deep sleep and dreaming, that's an altered state. Being in a hypnotic trance, sure, but also mystical visions, or even moments of extreme shock or trauma. These are all altered states of consciousness. And here's the kicker. In every single one of these states, the normal rules of perception, especially how we perceive time, they just go right out the window. And that right there is the absolute crucial point. The second our consciousness shifts gears out of that normal mode, our strict, forward-marching sense of time just dissolves. It can stretch out, it can get squished, or it can vanish altogether.
You already know this is true, right? We all do. Think about a dream. In the real, physical world, maybe only a minute or two passes. But inside that dream, man, you can live out an entire epic story that feels like it took hours. Your mind just creates its own reality, complete with its own timeline.
So, here it is. This is the core of the theory. What if the UFO encounter itself, whatever it is, either triggers or happens within an altered state of consciousness? If that's true, then the missing time isn't some side effect of an alien engine. No, it's a completely natural feature of how the witness's brain is processing the whole event. The mind itself becomes the theater where the play unfolds. So if we start thinking about it this way, it totally changes the game for how we investigate this mystery. It means instead of just looking up at the sky, we also have to start looking inward. It opens up a whole new frontier.
Right, so the search kind of shifts. It goes from being a problem of the physics of technology, radar hits and propulsion systems, to being a problem of the physics of perception. The key might not be in the nuts and bolts of a craft, but in that strange interface between whatever the phenomenon is and our human consciousness.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. Maybe the clocks outside don't actually stop at all. Maybe what gets suspended is our own internal psychological sense of linear time. It's not breaking the laws of physics out in the world, it's just temporarily hitting pause on the mental software we use to understand time in here.
And all of this leads us to one last, really profound question to chew on. What if what we encounter isn't a physical place out in space, but a different region of our own reality? A place we can only access when our normal, rigid perception of time and space gets pushed to the side for a moment. It's a mind-bending thought, isn't it? And if it's true, well, it changes everything.